Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Going the Distance. This is episode 54. Can you believe we've done 54 episodes? I can't, but I want to welcome the new members who are just joining us for the first time, and I want to welcome back the members who have been joining me from the beginning. So we've got some football news to get into, we've got some scores and predictions from the NFL to get into, and we've got some music news. So let's jump into it. So first, we're going to talk about David Montgomery of the Detroit Lions. When Detroit played Buffalo this past week, which in my opinion was the game of the week, we'll get into that in a little bit, David Montgomery sprained his MCL. So he's out for the season with an MCL sprain. And that's a big loss because Montgomery's been a big playmaker for Detroit. And with that loss, that puts a lot of pressure on Laporta to get everything done. But he can do it. Laporta can do it. And but we wish David Montgomery a speedy recovery. And I just hope that Detroit can, still be as good as and as dominant as they have been going through the playoffs without some of their big playmakers. But the good news is Aiden Hutchinson might be back for championship game or even the Super Bowl. But I don't want to rush anything, so I want him to be feeling good when he comes back and not feeling like he has to come back too soon. Moving on Thursday night when the Rams played the 49ers, the 49ers player Devontae Campbell just refused to go back in the game. Said he really didn't feel like going back in the game. And to me, all this started with Anthony Richardson earlier in the season saying he was tired and sat out for a play. And that just set the tone for the rest of these players. And the way Indianapolis handled that was, okay, just go sit down for a few plays. And, just take it easy, catch your breath, get some water, this, that, and everything else. And all the other players saw how they handled that. And they're like, well, let me try this. Well, Kyle Shanahan isn't putting up with it. He's and the 49ers suspended Devontae Campbell for not playing on Thursday night, just saying he didn't feel like it. And walk into the locker room. Didn't just sit on the sidelines, walk to the locker room. So he's suspended, which means his guaranteed money is no more. His guaranteed money was voided because of that. And it should be. He ought to be suspended without pay. And the 49ers ought to cut him. But I see why they're not cutting him, because they would lose more if they cut him than they would be to just suspend him. So what they're going to do is they're going to suspend him for the remainder of the 3 games of the season, and then they'll probably cut him in the offseason. And if any team was smart, no other team would pick him up, because now we know his track record. So moving on, Geno Smith hurt his knee in the game the other night, but he avoids a serious injury. He avoided a serious injury, which I was happy to hear, because I believe this is Geno's last season with in the NFL, and he needs to have a good season and not be injured. So we wish you a speedy recovery. You should be able to play this week, Geno, and I look forward to seeing you play this week if you do. Moving on, Kirk Cousins has been benched for Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta. So Michael Penix Jr. is going to start versus the Giants on Sunday. Now, that being said, this is the reason Kirk Cousins was benched. He had 112 yards and 1 interception in a 15-9 win over the Raiders on Monday night. But he's got a league-high 16 interceptions, and he's tied for a lead in fumbles. So I feel like the move from Minnesota to Atlanta was not what he needed. He was doing just fine in Minnesota. But he had to get the big head and run off away from Minnesota and sign with Atlanta. And then signs this huge contract and gets mad when Atlanta signs Michael Penix Jr. Like he can't have he can't have a backup is what I'm trying to say. Like he's the team. It almost seems like Peyton Manning to me. And I hate to say that because I like Kirk Cousins, but he has this this Peyton Manning mentality about him. Like, I'm the team. Nobody else needs to be. Well, what if you get hurt? What if you do have a bad few weeks like you have been and you get benched? You know, Michael Penix is there to learn from you, and he can't learn from you if you're throwing interceptions and fumbling the ball and just being a jerk. You know, out in the media saying, well, I don't need a backup. Yeah, you do need a backup, Kirk Cousins, and I think this benching will help. And if you're benched for the next 3 games, then you deserve it because the way you're acting is uncalled for. Moving on, Teddy Bridgewater wins the state title for Miami Northwestern High School, which is where he went to high school. Now, that being said, he won the championship on Saturday. He was on NFL Live on Monday talking about it and said that he wanted to have an NFL return. Now, that being said, this was the plan all along. He was going to go he retired from the NFL earlier this year. He went off to coach Miami Northwestern. And in there, he said, I'm going to coach y'all to a championship, and then I'm going to try to come back into the NFL. I think it's a big mistake. I think he ought to just stay at Miami Northwestern, win a few more titles, and, be the man at Miami Northwestern. Because as football fans remember, Teddy Bridgewater was drafted to Minnesota as the starter. And he got a horrific leg injury, broke his leg, and he's never been the same since then. He's always been a career backup after that, and just couldn't get everything together. So I thought coaching was going to be the right thing for him, and I thought he had found his niche, and he's going to ruin it by trying to make an NFL return. So Teddy, just stay at Miami Northwestern, win titles, and just let the NFL be what it's going to be. If you want to be a commentator, come on ESPN and give your 2 cents there. Not come in and try to play a game. So now we're going to move on to a story that just shows how shallow and vain the Jets really are. So in the offseason, Jerry Jeudy was traded from the Denver Broncos to the Cleveland Browns. That being said, there were other teams interested in Jeudy. It comes out today that the New York Jets pass on Jerry Jeudy because of his Madden rating on the Madden video game. Now, how are you going to take a Madden rating and compare that to how he plays on the field? Yeah, that's all about last season. So they passed on last season, but this is a whole new season, and Jerry Jeudy's been doing good for Cleveland this season. So it's just, it just shows you how shallow and how vain the Jets really are, and how, and I think if looking back on it, Aaron Rodgers might be behind all this at some point. In some weird way, Aaron Rodgers might be behind this. Aaron probably said, I don't want Jerry Jeudy, so they had to make something up, so Madden rating came on. Anyway, that's all the news. for this week. So let's move into the scores from last week. And this last week was week 15. So we're going to start on Thursday night with the Rams defeating the 49ers 12-6 in a snore fest. It was nothing but field goals. And that's the game that Devontae Campbell said, I'm done. I don't feel like it. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm going to the locker room. So the Rams defeated the Niners 12-6. The Bengals defeated the Titans 37-27. The Commanders, the Redskins, or the Commanders, defeated the Saints 20-19, and that looked like a pretty interesting game. I wasn't able to watch that game, but it looked, intense. The Cowboys defeated the Panthers 30-14. The Jets defeated the Jaguars 32-25. The Broncos defeated the Colts 31-13. Bills defeated the Lions 48-42. The Eagles defeated the Steelers 27-13. So, the Eagles aren't as tough as they used to be. The Buccaneers defeated the Chargers 40-17. The Chiefs defeated the Browns 21-31. Sorry for the yawns, y'all. The Vikings defeated the Bears 30-13, and the Falcons defeated the Raiders 15-9. So, there were some playoff implications there, and some teams like Houston got a playoff spot because teams lost, and I can't really get into that because I have to look into that more, but I may do a short talking about the playoff teams coming into the team. Oh, and then the game of the week. I can't believe I forgot this. The Bills defeated the Lions 48-42. That was the best game all season. It was a high-scoring game. Both quarterbacks, were touchdowns. Now, granted, there were some, missed field goals and missed opportunities, but it was a high-scoring game. And y'all, I knew this was going to be the game of the week, and honestly, I still see the Lions going to the Super Bowl. In fact, this might be the Super Bowl preview, the Bills and the Lions. But if the Lions had to lose to anybody this season, it was going to be the Bills. And now the Lions are 12-2, and the two teams that the Lions have lost to are the Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They haven't lost a game until, since week 2. And then they lose week 2 and then last week. So the Lions are a contender this year, and they're going to the Super Bowl. It's just, will we see them play Kansas City? Will we see them play Buffalo? I seem to think Kansas City is not going to make it to the Super Bowl this year. We might have just seen the Super Bowl preview for this year. Who knows? But that's all the scores for this week. So now let's move into some predictions. So starting tonight on Prime Video, we have the Broncos at the Chargers. I'm going to actually go and pick the Broncos. As much as I like the Chargers and they're playing at home, I think the Broncos are going to be too much for them. And this might be a really good game to watch. It's a division game. And, Sean Payton's doing good as head coach of the Broncos. And Harbaugh's doing good as head coach of the Chargers. And Bo Nix is having a good season. And so is Justin Herbert. Now, Justin's been hurt his ankle a couple weeks ago, so we'll have to take a look at that. But that's another reason I'm picking the Broncos. We have 2 games on Saturday. We have the Texans at the Chiefs. As much as I would love to see the Texans win, I think the Chiefs are going to win, and that's even if Patrick Mahomes does not play. Now, Patrick Mahomes got injured last week with a high ankle sprain, but we're going to put that in air quotes. He got injured because, as everybody remembers who are football fans, Kansas City had this same thing a few seasons ago. He got knocked out with a concussion. He came back out in the next play. So we're putting air quotes around Patrick Mahomes being injured. But as much as I'd like to see the Texans win, I think the Chiefs are going to cheat their way into a win. That's at 1 o'clock on NBC and Peacock on Saturday. And then at 4:30 on Fox, we have the Steelers at the Ravens in a division game. And I believe that the Steelers are going to win that game. They're playing at home. They're playing at Baltimore. But I think the Steelers might be too much, even though I think Lamar is going to run. And he's going to run more because this is a division game. So moving on into Sunday, we're going to have the Giants at the Falcons. I'm picking the Falcons in this game with Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback. The Browns at the Bengals. I'm picking the Bengals, which is always a good matchup. I can remember years ago, the Browns and Bengals had scored 50-some points on each team. It was like a 52-50 game. But they haven't come anywhere close to that this year or in the season since. But those are always good games to look at because that's a division game, and so they play harder. So I'm picking the Bengals in that game. We have the Titans at the Colts in another division game. I'm picking the Colts. We have the Eagles at the Commanders or the Redskins. I'm actually picking the Redskins in this game. It's a division game again, so most of the time these teams are going to play hard. And we've got a lot of division games. Tonight's game, and here we are with 3 games on Sunday as a division game. We have the Cardinals at the Panthers. I have the Cardinals winning that game. The Vikings at the Seahawks. I have the Vikings winning that game. The Patriots at the Bills. I've got the Bills winning that game. Another division game. The Jaguars at the Raiders. I have the Raiders winning that game. The 49ers at the Dolphins. This is a tough one because both teams are 6-8. They're playing in Miami, so Miami has the edge there. But, you've got Tua hurt. You've got Waddle with a knee injury. And Tua, I say, is hurt because I still consider him not right with these concussions. So he's not right. Waddle is hurt. So I think I'm going to go with the 49ers in this game because both teams are very injury prone. I still think the Niners are going to come out the winners in the end. And then we have the Buccaneers at the Cowboys on Sunday night. I'm actually picking the Bucs in this one. We have the Lions at the Bears. I'm picking the Lions. We have the Rams at the Jets. I'm picking the Rams. And then on Monday night, we have the Saints at the Packers. I have the Packers winning that game. And even though I think Alvin Kamara is going to be good, I think Christian Watson's going to be good. Kamara, is hurt, so he might not, be 100%. But Christian Watson should be good to go for Green Bay. And, we'll see how that game goes. The Saints have a backup quarterback because Derek Carr is injured with concussion, and I believe it's a broken hand. So I got the Packers. So that's all for football news. So now we're going to move into the who we're listening to segment. And who are we listening to this week? We're listening to Jeremy Camp. He's 36 years old. He's a contemporary Christian artist from Lafayette, Indiana. He started singing in 2000. with his debut album, I Still Believe, which is a great album. It's a great, a great story behind it. I Still Believe was when his wife passed away, and he was just angry all the time, not reading the Bible, just angry at God. And I Still Believe is him saying, God, I still believe in you. Even though you've put me through all these trials and tribulations, I still believe in what you're trying to do for me and what you're trying to teach me. So his debut album was in 2000. I found out about him a few years later, like 2002, 2003, and with a song called This Man, which is great because it talks about, would you take the nails from Jesus' hands? Would you die for Jesus the way Jesus died for you? Is how I interpret it. Again, his debut album, I Still Believe. He's had 14 studio albums, 36 singles, 8 music videos. He's hadn't had any greatest hits albums. He's had 2 live albums, and his most recent album is Deeper Water. It's great. It's got songs like These Days, No Survivors, Better, Possible, Ready Now, Through the Night. I mean, this is a fantastic album, and he's a fantastic artist. He's one of my favorite contemporary. He is actually not one. He is my favorite contemporary Christian artist. It's Jeremy Camp and Toby Mac. And several years ago, I was able to see Jeremy when he was with Franklin Graham. They came to Charlotte, and I was able to hear Franklin Graham and see Jeremy at the venue here. And it was a dream come true. I loved seeing Jeremy. I loved seeing him and hearing all the music that I hadn't heard, that I've only heard on the CDs, hearing him live. So it was really a blessing to hear him. So actually my favorite album from him is Restored, that has This Man on it. It's got a song called My Desire, and that's just a fantastic album. You guys should check it out. But what songs are we listening to this week? I want you guys to listen to This Man and My Desire. They're both inspirational songs, just like Jeremy is an inspirational guy. So, go out, be inspired, inspire other people, and make other people, enjoy the day and brighten somebody's day. But that's all I've got for this week, guys. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Have a good rest of the week. And remember, next week is Christmas, so I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas if I don't do a video before then. So, thank you guys for going the distance with me, and God bless.